folks, longtime owner Mr. Krabs is opening a new restaurant called the Krusty Krab 2. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
Hello and welcome to How the Blank by What the Blank Entertainment, and this is How the Monopoly.
Oh man.
Okay,
Monopoly is a fun game.
Yeah, Monopoly is a fun game, but we're not talking about the actual game Monopoly. We're talking about monopolies that are happening in the entertainment world and in the world right now. And
to rich people, that's still a game.
Yeah, that's true.
the game of capitalism.
Capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor.
So, Brandon, explain what a monopoly is.
A monopoly is where you have so much money that you can consistently buy out your competitions or expand your business to the point of being no competition and you run everything in your district.
What's an example of a monopoly?
The biggest example I can think of, at least in the entertainment world, is Disney. Because not only do they now own animation studios, they own live action films, they own news and sports, they own adult television, and now pretty much everything we love and enjoy is revolving around Disney on the television world.
It's gonna be a great day.
We wanted to talk about just different monopolies that are coming up right now. There's monopolies that are happening in film, in regular media, in music, and on Broadway. So it's crazy. There's just everything happening right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. It's kind of crazy how things are just like happening all the time, but that's just life. You know what I mean? Things always just happen. But it seems a little weird though, like the amount of things that have been happening, especially recently in the last couple of years alone. It's kind of odd how a lot more has just been kind of stacking up. You know what I mean?
So an example from like the Broadway side, right, is to produce a play, right, or a musical or a show on Broadway. You have to have a board of producers, right? You have to have at least 100 to like 200 different producers, and they're always put in the posters and everything. But now it's gotten to a point, and it's been this way actually for about 10 years, 10, 20 years, is they literally have this group that just produces together, and you just send money to this big bank account and this big fund, and they just produce these musicals, and then you get a cut, and so it really happened huge back when Wicked started. There is this group of producers that came together and were like, hey, we want to band together, and they're making millions upon billions of dollars because of Wicked, right? And it's insane.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So I'm not very familiar with live theater, especially musicals. Could you explain to me and possibly those who are watching why Broadway would need a whole board of producers?
Yeah, so it costs upwards of $20 to $30 million, and that's for like not even the biggest stuff on Broadway. To go up on Broadway, you need about that much money. And what's funny is they don't make that money back for years.
Wow.
Like, but because it's the same producers, a lot of the times, not always, but because it's this group that keeps producing these big musicals over and over and over again, they're pretty much monopolizing it and getting it to where any ticket sale goes to them. It goes to them. And so Broadway just keeps growing and growing, but it only really helps two people.
And you must be the Monopoly guy. Hey, thanks for the free parking.
Well, three people. The producers, the actors, because the actors get paid a lot, and the directors.
Dang.
Like, other people get paid quite a bit because they have to get paid, but like it's a gig to gig thing, right? It's not a forever thing. While these producers are starting to make it to where they don't need to find a gig, they just need to be part of the inner group. And if you're part of the inner group, you've made it. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's kind of become like not a secret society, but like a secret society.
I want in the club so bad.
Kind of like one, but not like one. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
I was also kind of curious because, like, I haven't heard of the secretive, non-secretive society, of which we're not speaking about right now. But overall, like, theater is always a lose investment, and that's why it's so hard to get people to stay in it as producers now, because you have over 90% guarantee of a loss each production. And so, like, I'm curious how they found a way to actually make money and monopolize this, because that's why almost all theaters are charities, because everybody uses it for a tax write-off, and that's how they get their donors, or people who are wealthy that need a loss or desperate for a loss to write on their taxes, because it almost always guarantees a loss. So I'm kind of wondering how this happened.
So it actually started because a lot. So shows usually start now at Broadway and then they trickle down. It's kind of a trickle down. It's similar to trickle down economics in a way, but it's with theater, where it starts with Broadway, and you get paid anytime the rights are used. So like if you're a producer on the very first production, right, you get that residual money forever, including with the rights. Like that's how they made a lot of their contracts now, is you get a percentage of whatever that show makes from beginning to end, and you get paid first.
Wow.
And that's how
crazy.
they've made Broadway so lucrative for the producer side.
Sounds like Dogecoin, but with real people.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you get into the producers board, then you're basically in, and you can make all the money you want producing all the shows and everybody and everything, and you can make all the money from it. And you don't have to do it gig to gig, because you can just always be part of the board, so you can always basically work on shows. Is that what that pretty much means?
Yes, it's just you pretty much have to know everyone, and so like kind of how it works is there is a group. So there's the board, right? And they're like, hey, who wants to do this one? Who wants to put their money towards this right now? And you'll get a certain percentage. So it's less of a monopoly, because it's not a full monopoly because it's so many people coming in, right? But because everyone communicates to each other and decides together, it's acting like a monopoly.
Interesting. So they're basically like investing into it, and and whoever puts like so much amount in is basically like allowed to be part of that production. Is that what that pretty much means?
Yeah, and so it really means like everyone is it's pretty much like, hey, if you invest in this, I'll invest too. And so
Hmm.
it's more like if you tell the group, hey, I'm investing in this, they're all gonna invest with you. It's kind of that, like, you put a piece of food out for the ants, all of them are gonna come for it. And so
Hmm.
it's kind of that way. But that's what I've kind of learned. That's not everything I know. Well, that's not
Yeah.
everything that's going on, but that's all I know about and that I've done in my research.
That's if you think about it, it's like Broadway has like all the greatest live shows that you can think of, but it's like, and like they're making all the money basically in that industry, like live theater, live musicals. They're the ones making all the money on it, whereas like all the little guys that are just trying to get by doing it, a lot of them have to figure out other ways to make their money because they don't have that same setup. So it's a lot harder for other companies or other theaters to actually take off really well. That's crazy. Dude, that's so interesting. That kind of reminds me of when I went to the Grand Ole Opry here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's actually really interesting. Have you guys heard of it before?
So yeah, I've heard of it because my family is like huge country fans. Like, we
Oh
love
yeah.
it. We want to go to their one of my favorite recordings of Rascal Flatts was there because
Hmm.
they did a huge recording
Yeah.
session there, and it's one of the best ones that they ever had.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, so what's really strange, but also kind of cool is so like my wife, my father, and I went down to Nashville a couple weeks ago. We went to just go do a bunch of things in Nashville over the weekend, and then we went to the Grand Ole Opry. I've never heard of it before, and then my dad was like, "Hey, let's go to the Grand Ole Opry." I was like, "I don't even know what that is."
What did you just say?
And he's like, oh, it's like one of the biggest places for country because Nashville is like the center for country music and entertainment that revolves around anything country related. And so
We
he,
have renting our department.
I know. Why do you not know about this, Jackson?
dude, I've never looked into it, and I'm not a country guy, so I just, you know what I mean. But anyway, so we went down to the Grand Ole Opry. My dad got us tickets to do a tour there. And we did a tour, so we were walking around, and they were showing us all the really cool things. I have a bunch of pictures. I'll send over so we can put these in. But it was really cool because we're walking around it, and when you go in, you walk in through like the main doors, and they. Did you guys know that they recorded TV shows back in the day at the Grand Ole Opry? Yeah, so they used to record a TV show. I can't remember what it's called, but we'll have Ty or whoever is editing put it in. But they recorded TV shows. They've done a whole bunch of album recordings there with different artists and everything. But what's really interesting, one thing I didn't know about until like later that night was the Grand Ole Opry. They have a club that's it's like a membership, like a members club, and you can only get in if you as an artist or a musician or a band has a certain amount of followers online, a certain amount of streams, per platform that you have, and a certain amount of like, entertainment like sources that you guys that they're using pretty much. And
And a
so,
platinum record, right? They have
yes,
to have a
well,
platinum record.
I don't know about the platinum record, but that might be true. I'll have to look into that more. But yeah, I know that like so like it's really crazy because all of the like main country artists that you can think of, like 99% of them, I guarantee you, are going to be a member of the Grand Ole Opry. But it was really cool going in and learning a whole lot about like the different things that they were doing at the Grand Ole Opry, how old it is. Like, dude, like the Grand Ole Opry was built in like the 1930s or something like that, or even earlier. But it's been up and running for a long time, and it's like the hub for country music. But we went to go see a show on that Sunday night, and it was a really good time. And I'm like I said, I'm not a fan of country, but it was really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. It was good. They had a whole bunch of different artists that came through, and they had like maybe 5 minutes max, like per artist. They would get on stage for like 5, 6 minutes or something. They would perform a couple tracks, and then they would leave. The next person would come on, and they had a comedian that came on, dude. It was really fun. But it just kind of reminded me of that because they have that whole membership like club thing where like you're invited into the club if you're doing good enough, or maybe if you invest enough. I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure it is. Like if you invest enough money into it, maybe they'll let someone into the club. But
I want in the club so bad.
it's really kind of cool how they have that all set up like that. But anyway, I went on a little tangent there, but I figured it was kind of relevant.
No, and what's crazy with like that is if it's kind of like Broadway, right? You made it if you've been on Broadway. You made it if you have recorded or performed in the Grand Ole Opry, right? Like
Interesting. Yep.
And but this makes me think of like there's also I can't remember what the club is, but there is like the Tesla Club 47 or something like that, or the 27 or it's like something with the 7. I'll have to look at it, but like there is this certain club in California that you have to like know a member of the club to get in, and have a certain like money or like investment or something like that.
Oh, that's just the Bohemian Club.
When you said 27, and you said 27 Club, I was like, I don't think we're on the same track here.
This is going somewhere else. That's crazy, though.
No, I'm talking about the stuff where like you can. No, I don't. But there.
It's all the people that want to die by 27, so they can die as legends.
No.
Yeah, it's all like the artists and musicians.
I wasn't talking about that one.
I want in the club so bad.
There's another one where you can get exclusively, like there's a certain bar at Disney World. There's a certain place at Disneyland that you have to be a member of this club to get into. And you have to know a person to get even invited to this club. And then
that's probably Freemasonry.
It's similar. I don't know. But it's a bunch of CEOs and stuff that are in it.
Oh yeah, dude, that's definitely gonna be either Freemasonry or Skull and Bones Club or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, so actually, when we were just talking about the clubs and even the Grand Ole Opry, that actually brought me onto another one of our topics. You guys heard about the Live Nation and Ticketmaster issue, right?
Yeah, the lawsuit that just happened with the Department of Justice.
Yeah, dude, hold on. So my camera's gonna turn off for just a second, but I want to pull this up, and we'll put this on the screen as well.
That's what? Jackson's first official album cover, just so everyone knows. Anything can be an album cover.
Is it my background?
Yeah, it's
nice. That's crazy. All right, so check this out. Okay, so this says Justice Department sues Live Nation Ticketmaster for monopolizing markets across the live concert industry. Dude, these guys. Okay, let me check this out. So here it is. The Justice Department, along with 30 state and district attorney generals, filed a civil antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation Entertainment and its wholly owned subsidiary, Ticketmaster LLC, or Live Nation Ticketmaster, for monopolizing and other unlawful conduct that thwarts competition in markets across the live entertainment industry. The lawsuit, which includes a request for structural relief, seeks to restore competition in the live concert industry, provide better choices at lower prices for fans, and open venue doors for working musicians and other performance artists.
Go directly to jail.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And what's crazy with this too is they also like, so there's the people that buy tickets and then resell them.
Yeah.
They've been doing that too with their other ticketing apps and different stuff like that. So they like been marking up their own stuff,
Yep.
and it's made concerts like so hard to go to. Like, I was gonna go to the AJR one that was just 2 nights ago. Yeah, or no, it's the 16th. So
In
yeah,
Salt Lake.
yeah, in Salt Lake, but
Oh,
it was like $230. Like,
Yeah. And another part of what I think this is actually part of the lawsuit is they are, so when you sell tickets, any ticketer can put what's called like a ticket fee or applied
yeah.
fees, and they don't have to label what those fees are. They just have to label the sales tax. They just have to label the actual ticket price, and then they can just have a thing that just says fees or subcharge, and they can make that any price they want for no explanation of what it's for, and it's really just to make extra money
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah,
cases.
dude, that's kind of what this is saying right here too. Is literally like it's let's see. So basically, they're exercising their monopoly power in violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Act, which basically is just what you were talking about. They were making the tickets more expensive for people here in the States than they were for like other people outside of the States and other things like that. And they were making it more complicated for people to actually get into it at a better price. It's
yeah,
crazy.
And they have so many deals and contracts with big stadiums. Like they've been around for so long. So a lot of the big concerts that go to major stadiums and baseball arenas and stuff like that, and they perform in like the big fields, they have contracts where Live Nation's the only ticketing service that people can use. They can only use Live Nation and
Crazy.
Ticketmaster. So that
Wow.
completely cuts competition. So that's
Dude, that
literally
is
like the definition of monopoly. Winning
yeah.
monopoly in a bad
that is
way.
wild.
Winning's winning.
Monopoly. Yeah, dude, that's crazy though. Like, they're making
Monopoly.
so much money off of doing that. Like, they're taking advantage of the people that want it most.
So this just reminds me of so before Brandon left for Indonesia, we played Monopoly, and Cassie, my wife, kept being like, "Hey, do you want to sell your property to me? Do you want like where I can get all this money?" Like, that's how I feel like
Yeah,
Ticketmaster is. That's kind of how I feel like Broadway is, where it's like, "Hey, I'm producing this. I'm gonna produce it with my group, right? And like I feel like a lot of places are like doing groups, right, or doing like
Mhm.
multiple company names under an umbrella company, right? To be like, oh, we're not a monopoly. We're just a group of companies coming together to help the greater good.
yeah. Help the greater good. Yeah,
That's
dude, that
the
reminds
quote of
me of
every cult.
yes.
Disgusted, I am revolted, I dedicate my entire life to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and this is the thanks I get?
Seriously, dude. Every
Hey,
cult in existence.
do you guys want some Kool-Aid?
Only if it has cyanide in it.
Okay.
I
Dude,
like grape.
has to be that. Dude, that kind of reminds me of Disney as well. I mean, we were just kind of talking about this, but even Disney is doing the same thing with all of Disney's competitors, like Disney Plus. You know, they're bundling their service with Hulu and other things like that for, you know, you can get a cheaper price for it. But like Disney owns so many different film industry, like film companies. Like Lucasfilm was bought out by Disney, a whole bunch of other things, dude. And it's like these guys are making all of these main like feature films now for all of these different companies, and they're the ones making like the majority of the money at the top. You know?
Well, and
And they don't just own like the film companies, so they own like Lucasfilms and Marvel and things that are like way out of their normal. But they also own ESPN now, and they own Fox.
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
and they own National Geographic, and
oh yeah,
Yeah,
they
of
do.
course. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And there's even some companies that not a lot of people know about.
We own your lives.
That's crazy. I mean, they can do it because they've got the money and they've got the people to, buy the tickets for it. So,
well,
like,
and now they have the connections to where it costs them almost like nothing to do anything in Hollywood or anything in
entertainment, really.
In entertainment in general.
That is wild, dude. Like they became such a huge corporate business, and it all started from one guy, dude. One dude. Like that's wild to think about. Like so many different monopolies were started by one person. It's like one person had an idea and they brought it out to like another person or whatever, and it just expanded from there. And decades later, here we are. It's like everything is owned by like 12 different companies.
And the thing is with Walt Disney, though, he truly wanted to make the world different and make entertainment more accessible. Not free, but more accessible and more fun, right? And he did his goal, right? But now we have CEOs like Bob Iger and different stuff that is like, this is not enough money for me.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Brandon just died. He'll be back on in a minute.
No, not Brandon. He was my favorite.
I know. I miss his long hair already.
I know. You're starting to grow yours out to match it.
I know, dude. We're twinning now. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't insult me.
One thing I wanted to talk about as well is, especially like Disney does a lot of Broadway shows, don't they?
Oh yeah. So they have saturated the market with children's stuff too. So with Broadway and with so what's interesting is Disney is actually one of the quickest turnarounds from turning a show from a movie into a musical.
Wow.
Like Frozen was. Frozen came out in 2013, and it hit Broadway, or it hit off Broadway in I think either 2017 or 2016. So that's
crazy.
only 3 years, which is like insane. Like that's really quick for an adaptation, because usually adaptations take 5 to 7 years.
Is that a pretty average amount of time for like most Broadway musicals to be produced? Like 5 to 7 years?
It depends on really the team. So like an example is like Hamilton. It started back in 2009, 2010. Like it was near the beginning of the Obama administration.
Oh, gotcha.
Thanks, Obama.
And it wasn't until 2015 that it actually got on Broadway.
Wow.
But a lot of it was perfecting it. It takes a lot from just boarding it to full thing. So yeah. But I think that was a good episode about it. Well, Brandon was killed off by the Monopoly men.
Yeah, they got to him.
Hopefully we can get him next time. But thanks for watching and following us. Please subscribe and like the video if you like it, and show us and comment what you want us to talk about next.
Yep.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Spotify.
Yep. Be sure to follow along so you guys can be updated on what's going on with us and the entertainment world, because we're talking about it. So.
Yeah. and stay tuned as we announce new and fun projects that are coming up. And if you want to do new and fun projects with us, please email us at whattheblankentertainment@gmail.com or go to our website at whattheblank.org.
Yep. There we go.
And
Alrighty.
this was How the Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Woo woo!
Bye.
Monopoly. Bye.